What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm joined by a very special guest. We actually had him on before, and we're having him back today. Mastercast TV, an amazing guy, a guy that I think we have a lot of things in common. We are able to bounce things off each other, like we were saying right before we recorded that. Some people just can't have the conversation. So before we get too far in, let me just thank you, Mastercast, for being here. And you guys can check him out in the description. Click his @ symbol; it'll take you right to his channel, and subscribe. Thank you for being here, good sir.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me back. I love chatting with you. I feel like, yeah, like we're very like-minded and we're able to have the tough discussions that I think some fandoms, I'm not shouting anybody out in particular, some people don't want to have these discussions, but it's like, especially like, look, I've been around the block with a lot of these franchises. I'm nearly 50 years old. So I've seen them rise and fall.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you are open to having these, well, some people might call negative discussions, but I mean it's just the reality of filmic storytelling.
Yeah, of course. And like we kind of always say, these are our opinions. You guys are more than valid to have your own. We're just here to have a conversation. So we kind of got off on talking on Twitter, and that's kind of what spun this. In terms of, so let's kind of talk about these things have changed
Mm.
or been added since we last talked. So like Scream 6 or whatever it's going to be called, Scream explanation, two of them. Like last time we talked, we were concerned. I think very in a valid way. We were concerned of how close they were going to tie to Scream 2. So about a month has passed. Where are you now? We've seen the movie theater, or we've seen a theater. It's like a music kind of thing. It's not necessarily a movie theater, but after we've seen all this stuff, has your opinion changed of what they're trying to do?
No, not at all. Actually, I was on a stream with Craven, and then he
Yeah,
told me that it looks like they blocked out that theater for 3 weeks of shooting.
yeah,
And so if they set the finale in a theater, I
yeah,
mean, what are they doing? Because it's like those guys have no connection to the original Scream 2. So
yeah,
why does it have to be so close to Scream 2? It doesn't.
yeah.
It feels like they're shooting themselves in the foot by going in that direction. Because they can't be like, oh, Mickey's dad. Why would Mickey's dad give a crap about Sam and Tara? You know what I mean? It has to be connected to Scream 5 in some way.
Yeah.
So rebooting Scream 2 is just ridiculous.
So, and it's part of a larger discussion we've had. But like, what do you like taking some steps back, right? What do you think? Like, it's not done yet. We don't know. But what do you think?
Mm.
Like, their plan has been. Like, do you think they honestly set out to recreate 1 through 3 with like minor twists and turns? Because if this is 2, that really is what this trilogy is about. I don't want to say it fully because we're not there yet, right? But if this movie is Scream 2 with minor twists and not like subverting expectations, but not even really, then it's just you're repeating 1 through 3. Do you think that was the plan the whole time?
I would say, knowing Hollywood executives, yes, this is they're going to play it safe. They're going to play it as close as possible to the original. If Paramount is planning to essentially, Force Awakens Scream, that's what they're doing. They're absolutely gonna. I mean, the first one ended in the exact same location as the original movie. If part two ends, or Scream 6 or whatever ends in a theater, I mean, it's almost a no brainer that the three, or whatever they're gonna call it,
Yeah.
seven, is gonna be in a Hollywood kind of horror comedy.
Well,
Which is tragic, but I think that's honestly that's a really bad direction for it to take. And I know Wes would not have taken it in that direction.
yeah. Well, one thing I will say, so like I'm with you. I'm totally with you that, and I would not be on board. There is a part of me though that would like to see what a Hollywood movie nowadays has to say about Hollywood, just because of you're not allowed to say so many things, and they'd obviously be
Mm.
afraid of talking bad. So it would actually be them writing themselves into an even deeper corner, because it's like you'd want to talk about the Hollywood society, but you really could, like, it'd be almost laughable how limited you would have to be. But again, like you said, I mean, this is not really where I would have taken it. It's not probably where Wes would have. Oh, well, although like the idea for Wes was to bring it back to like a college setting, but I assume the idea was not to repeat Scream 2 yet again. Again, we don't know. We don't know what this one is going to do, but it does seem scary. Scary how similar it's going to be to 2. So I'm trying to think any other kind of spin-offs what we could say from that. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about of what we've seen so far? Because we've seen Gale there. We had Samara Weaving being cast. Is there anything you want to talk about with that?
Well, so a Samara Weaving cast is exciting. I mean, I think it's almost obvious she's the opening kill. It makes
Yeah.
just it's too it makes too much sense if you go back and just look at the franchise. Let's look at history. The most famous name in the new cast gets killed first.
Yeah.
Jada Pinkett and Drew Barrymore. I mean, I guess you can argue Cotton Weary was only famous because he was a legacy character, but it's just gonna happen. There's no way she lasts through the whole movie. She's absolutely gonna be the opening kill, which is fine. It's nice that she's in it.
Yeah.
I wish she had more to do, but
Yeah.
you
The
know,
way it is.
yeah, it's the way it is, and I guess a lot remains to be seen, but I know even people who were super hyped for it are getting less and less hyped for it because of the fact that it feels like a complete retread. And I know Wes was gonna do their his Scream 5 with oh my god, with
Oh,
Kevin was gonna
yeah.
be was gonna be with Jill, and I think that would have been an interesting direction to take it
Yeah.
if we knew who the killer was from the beginning.
Right.
Now we're in different territory. Now you can play in the same sandbox, but give us the other take of it. I would love to have seen that, but now there's nothing. We can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, and what do you think? Obviously, because you're right. I think as time has gone on, you started to see a little bit more fracture of people, at least at the very least, just kind of, and that's fine, and that's all it really is as of right now, right? Questioning, it looks very similar, and then could that be a bad thing? Well, it's definitely possible. What do you think about the Nev stuff? So, like, I've been a big, my kind of response to it. I made a video. I've said it's just going to get annoying, like her,
Mm,
because I do believe she'll be back. I trust viewer and on. But I think that you're just going to hear these lies, like Andrew Garfield were told for Spider-Man. So, like when she's at these cons and she says no, 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 no. Do you think? I think this is also something I've talked to Craven about. If somebody spots her on set next week, reportedly, it's game like then it seems very pathetic them going along with this thing that she's not in it when somebody could just take a picture. So where are you with Nev? I guess.
I actually I believe Sean. I know him a little bit.
Oh yeah, 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 yep. This is what actually
And
got us talking. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, and I believe that she wouldn't lie to him. I mean, they're business partners. They make money off each other. There would be no reason for her to lie to him because he's not like a fan. He's a manager.
Yeah,
She makes a lot of money at these conventions thanks to him.
yeah,
So if it's conflicting in any way, I mean that's a big deal. Actors, we always deal with scheduling when you're making movies and you have appearances. So there's no reason for her to say they're lying. I'm tricking. You know what I mean? Because then that fractures their relationship. Then he comes out and says, no, no, she's not doing it because of this and this and this. And then she's in it. He's gonna look like an idiot, and
yeah.
then it's gonna hurt their relationship. So honestly, I don't think she's in it. I think it's. I mean, I don't know if you were Anon. I know he's been right about some other things, but I don't know. I don't think she's in it.
Would your opinion of Six change if she's in it, even as a cameo versus not?
I would because I've always stood by the fact that Scream is Sidney Prescott, and if she's
Yeah,
not in it, then you're just making a fan film or a TV show.
yeah.
So absolutely, I would definitely be more interested if she was in it.
Yeah, that's where I get it, and I've it took me a little while early on in like Scream 5 of accepting these aren't her movies anymore and stuff. But I still think she's such an important she needs to be in it. And if it's a cameo, I'm fine with a cameo. If she's a somewhat major role in the next one, like 15-20 minutes of script, like I'm fine. I know somebody as you get older. And as you've been in these movies for so long, yeah, you're not going to be in it, 40 minutes of the movie every single time. It's just your time has passed. Basically, you have to accept that.
Mm.
But you know, Nev Campbell, Ghostface, those are the two defining, and they always will be. Maybe somebody like a Jenna Ortega can become that. I think she's well on her way, really, of like kind of cementing herself. Sam less so, but I mean, she still can, depending on what they do with her. So okay, so you're on the Nev not coming. One thing that I guess got me with Nev too, like a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, there was a talk of her canceling that she canceled some sort of convention because she's filming Twisted Metal. I think that got people talking. It's like, well, you did that last minute. Well, we'll see. Like I said, if she's spotted on set, this whole thing, and you're right. I mean, like the conflicting between her and a manager or whatever. The thing is, like, none of this needed to happen in the first place, right? If whoever was being money hungry just wasn't. But the whole thing is already so messed up because people kind of forgave and forgot the Andrew Garfield thing, right? But he
Mm-hmm.
never slammed anybody. He was just lying, and you could kind of tell.
Right.
For her, it's a lot different. But if somebody spots her at an airport, at a hotel, on set, like the whole thing. Let me ask you this: so if it is spotted, like, do you laugh? Do you think like the whole thing is kind of pathetic? Like, what's your opinion? You know what I mean? Like of this act that they're playing, if she's there.
I would say everybody at either the Paramount marketing department or Project X marketing department needs to be fired because you need to get ahead of this. I mean,
Yeah.
look, there's so much bad publicity about this already. The old school OG fans like myself are like, if Sydney's not in it, we're not in it.
Yeah.
We're not interested. If you got her, then she should come out and say, "Hey guys, we've come to an agreement. I'm back in for
Yeah.
another round with Ghostface." You have to make that announcement. It can't be a secret. The thing about the Andrew Garfield situation was it wasn't like, oh yeah, they wanted me in it, but they didn't want to pay me enough, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, no, why would I be in it? It's not my movie, right? So that was kind of like a fun surprise. Here, there's so much contentiousness behind the scenes
Yeah.
that you have to pave that over. You had to say, you know what, we came to an agreement. We're all friends. I'm going to kick Ghostface's ass one more time. You would exactly is that smile. Everybody would smile, and be like, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Six is back on track. Any kind of hidden pictures with her would look so weird to me. It'd be like, why would they hide it?
Yeah.
People are already not going to see it. It's not going to be a thing where like, oh, word of mouth, she's secretly in it. No, man, tell everybody.
Yeah.
You want the opening weekend to be huge. They shouldn't hide it. They should absolutely get ahead of it.
That's where I'm at. The only thing that I've speculated, like the only thing I can possibly think of is they don't want to seem like they bow down to her request, right? And even from I guess that makes sense from a business perspective. How bad does it look for them if you say, all right, well that tactic works because now how many other Paramount employed actors do this in the future, and they know, well, all I have to do. And Nev Campbell, she is a big deal, and the Scream is her franchise. But let's not, she's not the biggest. She's not the biggest female. She's not the biggest actor vault at all. Like not even
Right.
close. The petition to bring her back, I don't even think has hit 10,000, compared to like a Johnny Depp, which is at like millions and Amber Heard and stuff. So just to put it, what I mean. So, but if Nev, she can be very powerful in this because if this works, even I would say this is going to be an issue no matter what, because if she is in the movie, then it still is the same conversation. Oh, her bashing you online worked, because clearly that is what did it. Otherwise, you would have not had, right? So what do you, I guess, well, I'll just, fling that at you. What do you think? So if she's in the movie, what do you think that kind of does to that relationship with online and these companies?
Well, I think, I mean, first of all, Paramount sort of took a hit by not. So, the whole thing about, equal pay, which is obviously, there shouldn't be any kind of disparity between, male and female actors.
Yep.
If it was a Tom Cruise, or anybody, I mean, I'm sure Johnny Depp got
Yeah.
paid pretty well for the Pirate sequels. You know what I mean? So it's the fact that that they're undercutting the people who built the franchise, I think
Right.
is, telling. I mean, honestly, filmmakers aren't making as much money as they used to nowadays. I mean, especially sort of at my lower level, we didn't make enough to begin with. Now we're making less than that. So it's trickling upwards, I guess, to the Hollywood system. But the fact that they decided to not pay the face of the franchise enough is telling, and it's bad publicity for them. Um, I don't think it makes her look bad. I mean, I think it's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
decision to come out and say, "Hey, pay me what I'm worth." Every actor in Hollywood is pretty much supporting her on that because absolutely they should be paid what they're worth.
Yeah.
So how it hurts the relationship, I don't know, but I think studios get that all the time. I mean, we've seen that with Snyderverse and
Yeah.
all the backlash and things like that. But at the end of the day, money is money, and if they have to put their tail between their legs and like, look, with Nev Campbell in the movie, you're guaranteed a certain amount more that
Yeah.
at least replay value
Right.
than you would. I mean, I can't even put a figure on it, but let's say with Nev Campbell, you get maybe 30 million more or something, and so maybe she is worth just the 2 million or 3 million she wanted.
Yeah.
you know, just to beef up that installment, because you don't
Yeah.
want a dead, you know, installment in the franchise. And I feel without Nev, we're getting that. We're getting that. I hate to say it, the Friday the 13th Part 5. You know, where it's kind of like the well, we don't really talk about that one. You know,
Right. Yeah. I
um,
mean, well, yeah, the whole thing, you know, and again, there has been good, and some of these pictures that appear online of like the set, like they do get people excited. They get me excited. I mean, seeing Courtney Cox, you know, as Gail, and she's talking to Sam and Tara, and they're like those pictures do still excite me. They do, but you just don't need a lot of this excess, you know, the stuff that just did not need to happen. And yeah, I've said it before. Like my thoughts on it are, I'm on her side. I do think though, and it's actually kind of backed up by things I've seen online, it has also hurt her image. Like the entire thing has been bad for everybody. So I'm with you. Like I get it makes Paramount look weak, and I'm sure a money hungry company doesn't want to, you know, but it makes Nev look bad because still factually she's making millions of dollars. I don't make millions. A lot of people online don't, and because I've seen comments on my own videos saying she's complaining about an extra couple million, like that, and that does come across very bad, you know, because that's not one of us. You know what I mean? That's like you're an elite. You're at a Hollywood elite, which I don't look at Nev like that, but some do. So it hurts Nev. Obviously, it hurts Paramount. It hurts Scream because now the franchise is kind of tainted. The whole thing is bad. So I'm totally with you that, you know, announcing it and there, I really believe at this point, I believe she's in it, and I believe they're gonna wait until the movie comes out, which is a bad idea. Maybe I don't know, because you're gonna have to turn people around that are like you or like anybody that says without
mm-hmm.
Nev, I'm gone. You're gonna turn them around the Thursday night, and then they're gonna go see it the Friday. That's what you're hoping that, you know what I mean? Like that's a tough thing to do.
It is. I mean, I'll see it anyway. Honestly, I'm gonna see it opening night. You know, I'm too connected to Ghostface and stuff.
Yeah.
I will see it anyway, but you know, it's probably not something I'm gonna go watch 5 times in the theaters.
Yeah.
You know, if I feel this is just kind of a dead installment. But I mean, again, if the movie's really fucking good, the movie's really goddamn good, then
Yeah.
I will 100%, you know, watch it as much as I feel like I need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and then even if she even if she shows up all of a sudden, oh my god, she's in it. It would just make the movie feel weird to me. It wouldn't be like, yeah, it would be like,
Yeah.
oh, huh, I don't know how I feel about this movie. It would be kind of a weird, like, you know, just like a weird, you know, you'd have some kind of weird relationship with the movie. At least I would.
Yeah.
I don't know if that I would ever make it
Well,
feel like a part of it if it was one of those weird tricks kind of things.
right. Well, the weird thing is too, like, and it's gonna affect everybody differently because some people are into it like us and we read the news online, but not everybody does. You know what I mean? Some people maybe heard, oh, Nev Campbell, I know who that is. Oh, she got, you know, she roasted them. They hear that, maybe they don't care. Maybe they, you know, I know Ghostface. I don't even know any of the other actors' names, so it affects
Right.
everybody differently. But I think man, I still think it's a good idea to have. I guess I would say the question is going to rise when the movie comes out to people like us. What was her role going to be? Like all those questions of what was her role going to be? What was changed? I do think a lot of people will not care or won't even know. So, you know, I think you're not going to face that issue with them. But for people like, you know, but those questions are going to rise for diehard fans. And that's also, and again, like so much was messed up by this. It's nuts.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. Most people will come in, oh, Scream, and then if Nev Campbell's in it, like, hey, where was Sidney Prescott? That's weird. This
Yeah.
movie sucks. Sidney Prescott's not in it. Like, you know, they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
Or some people will be like, just, oh, I guess she's not in this one, and then they'll just go about their day like nothing matters, and
Yeah.
that's fine, you know. But whatever her role is, I doubt they will ever tell us. Maybe down the line at a convention, if somebody asks, she'll say it like once the movie's out. Maybe she'll tell us.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
waiting. Yeah, I'll wait as many years as they want to do it. Well, let me ask you a question because I think this actually goes to, and we've talked about, you know, kind of disrespecting characters before. This is
Mm.
something that we've seen. So there was a quote that leaked about Gail potentially, and it seems like again Gail is the same kind of you know, selfish kind of character who cares about her ratings. So are you worried about a character like, well, at this point, it's like her and Kirby. Are you worried about other legacy characters? I guess even from your own opinion, like where do you stand on Gail from a character arc? Like, do you want her to keep reverting back to her being selfish, or would you like to see something else? Like, you know, what if I were to tell you that quote's real and Gail is going to be this selfish and only care about ratings? Do you think it's been done too much, or they're just sticking with the character?
Mm.
Like, what do you think?
Well, what's the quote? Because I don't know if I've heard it.
It's what I think it's Tara telling her that at least your other half basically had like empathy, like cared about other people. You only care about the rate, something like that. So that's
Oh,
the only
gotcha.
quote, and it could be real, it could be fake. But we've seen that picture where Gail doesn't look very happy. It almost seems like she wants to interview Sam, right? And Sam doesn't want to do it. So again,
Mm.
we're getting that. And my thoughts are actually pretty conflicted. Like I'm okay with it, but at the same time, like we've seen that kind of arc a lot for her character. I'm actually very much in the middle. I don't know if I'd actually have a strong opinion, but I was wondering for you.
Well, Gail almost seems to reboot every
Yeah.
every movie. Like she still goes back to
But
the
she's a
reporter
good
side.
character in some of the like she's a really good character and she kind of leads
Yeah.
like two. That's what's tough is she reboots every time, but she
The
still
only
actually turns out to be a great character.
Right. The only movie that I feel she had any kind of growth was in four, where she was a housewife.
Yeah.
She was trying to write a book. She had kind of calmed down. Then she goes back into her reporter mode, but
Right.
she still was always, still Dewey's wife. And hey, Dewey, help me. You gotta, why don't you believe me? I'm your wife. All this stuff.
Yeah.
So there was still that element of it, which I felt was real growth.
Yeah.
And talking about character assassination, let's talk about five
Yeah.
real quick. Um, Wes and Kevin, and Aaron Kruger to a degree knew that Dewey was a hero. In every movie, he was a hero,
Yeah.
and he was different. He was different kinds of a hero. Here in part two, he was the limping hero who came in, to keep an eye on everybody. He was kind of like the surrogate father.
Yeah.
In three, he was a security guard. Was helping out. What's her face? Jolie. I'm blanking on her
Yeah.
name
Yeah.
now. But he was still the hero. He was still the guy in charge, making sure everybody was safe. In four, he came full circle. Now he's the sheriff. He's taken the mantle. He is protecting everybody. And then in five, they made him a divorced, trailer park living drunk. And I just felt like you guys totally Luke Skywalkered this guy, because you took away everything that the franchise had built, and you just crapped on this guy. And I
Yeah.
really did not like that. And you kill him. Awful, just awful. Yeah, did not like that. So what will happen to Gail? I'm gonna guess more of the same. I'm gonna guess, oh, we know her as bitchy reporter girl, so she'll be bitchy reporter girl. Even though the death of Dewey should have changed her, should have been something that this is a turning point for the character. Maybe she does charities. Maybe she's I don't know. Maybe you see a softer side of her. But if
Yeah.
she's reporter Gail again, then I feel that it's just same old, same old. So I would like to see more from her than just the same selfish person.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you. I mean, and we've talked about it before. Like we were on a live stream together, and your pitch about Dewey, it was like I never thought of it, and I'm into that like character. I mean, they destroyed Star Wars for me and all that stuff. And when you had pitched the idea of if you take a couple steps back and you look what they did to Dewey, I was like, dang it, you're kind of right. I don't think I'm well, not even extreme. I don't think I'm all the way with you, but I'm pretty darn close, and you've definitely convinced me. But you're right, and yeah, Gale is tough because you're right. Now thinking about it, like you just said, like, it's okay to go back to what you do or whatever. But when you have life altering events, like you just said, like when you lose a Dewey, and this is a chance also to still help Dewey's character because now Dewey is tied to Gale, right? So like whatever Gale does as a result of Dewey dying, that still goes back on his character, which is good. It's a fine thing. So you're right. If they just go back to, well, unless they, I guess, I don't know. I mean, because they could go back to like the lines of saying they're going back to what they were always good at, something like that. I mean, she
Mm.
could have some sort of excuse. She feels guilty, so she goes back to the only thing she's good at, I guess. But I'm kind of with you. This is their chance, like in four, to really push her as a character. Yeah. So if she's the same thing, I think I'm with you. I actually don't think I'd want it. Depends on how much she's even in it. Like at least she's there. I feel like she actually will have a pretty big part compared to like Kirby, who's Hayden is still, probably not there. Samara
Mm.
probably still not there. Those two characters really are not going to have much time. Gale will.
Which is great. And one thing I 100%, I'm sure everybody will agree on this, that I don't want to see from Gail is her dating. I think,
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
even though it's what I don't know if they've said it's like a year later or 2 years later.
Yeah,
I feel it's so disrespectful to Dewey. It just even though, yeah, in reality, sure, life goes on, but I think I think it would be such a slap in the face to the character, and it would make Gail look so awful
Yeah.
to just kind of forget that. I mean, Dewey was pining for her, and I feel like maybe she left and went to New York to get this job, but I feel like she probably was missing him quite a bit too. I mean, they had the
Oh, yeah.
tearful reunion. So I do not want to see her dating. I don't want to see Dermot Mulrooney. I mean, he could hit on her, but she's like, "Oh, I'm not ready," or whatever,
Yeah.
something like that. I want her to be respectful to the character. I think she would want to be. I mean, being married to David, I know she
Yeah.
didn't like that he died.
Yeah.
So, and she said that was a bad mistake, and I think Nev as well.
Yeah.
So I hope they are at least respectful to the memory.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that. I've been going into these kind of interviews like thinking about that question. I always forget to bring it up. No, I because I've seen the theories about his character, and it's like, for the love of God, any theory I see about him dating, I'm like, please no. Like that's like you said, everybody's gonna approach something differently. But I mean, I don't know. I would put myself in their shoes. Like, they've been together for so long. Somebody dies, and then it's only been a year. I don't know many people on the face of the earth that would move on that quickly. I'm sure there'd be some. There'd probably be a
Mm.
couple. But if you're trying to resonate with the majority, it makes her look really bad. It makes her look, So I'm with you. If she wants to get hit on, like you said, something, yeah, and an easy line like, "I'm not ready," or you show her being at his grave or whatever, something that just shows he's still with her, that she still thinks about it. Maybe it's as easy as having his book, or a book with him on a
Right,
wall.
right.
Those are easy, very easy. I feel like they'll do it, but considering they're like the only ones who did the Tatum. For as much as maybe they're going in the wrong direction, at least they remembered Tatum was a character when
Yeah.
Wes and them didn't. So I'll give them that. I'll definitely give them that.
That's true. Showing the urn, I think that was kind of a cool touch. But I mean, technically, we hadn't been back to Woodsboro until the
True.
fourth one, and then
True.
there was a lot happening in that one. But one thing, and this just crossed my mind,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god, I really hope they don't do that. And I'm trying to think like a Hollywood executive. If they were going to do character assassination, this is
Yeah.
what they would do. And mark this. If this is a prediction, this happens in the movie. I have not seen the movie. I read the script, but I swear to God, in my mind, I picture the first time we meet Gail. She wakes up in bed, and there's like a young, like sexy dude laying next to her, and she's just having one night stands
Uh,
to like help get herself help get over it or whatever.
yeah.
Oh man, no
Yeah.
thanks. That would be the equivalent of Dewey being an abandoned drunk living in a junkyard. If
Yeah.
she's just like hooking up with random dudes, that would not be a good thing. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what Vanderbilt and Guy Busick would do, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, it's I would debate, you thinking about Hollywood and stuff, how they view men versus women, which is something I don't want to touch upon. That's the most controversial thing you could possibly do. I don't know how far they would go to make Gale seem bad, because there's definitely that argument to be made when you look at Star Wars or you look at Scream or literally anything. Men tend to be, that's my perception. If people don't agree, that's okay. It seems like obviously there's a little something out for men nowadays in Hollywood. So I think that's definitely possible. Again, yeah, I think it's the same kind of thing. It just makes her look. You don't have to do that. You could, I guess, on the other side of things, having her be massively depressed for the whole movie probably isn't right either. So somewhere kind of in between, where she does feel kind of like she's happy to be back in the reporter role. It's how she met him. So you could even do
Hmm.
something like that. Like, this is how she met this guy. So she can have some joy in doing it. She doesn't have to be as self-centered, which she wasn't in 4. She was and even 5, she was very little besides their talk. Like, after that with Sydney and stuff, very respectful, almost like she was speaking for the writers, right? She's the final girl. She's the leading lady. You don't talk to her like that. So, there was
Right.
that element built into her character in 5, which was good.
Yeah, and what I hope they'll do is maybe she wrote that book. I mean, they mentioned the whole book about Dewey, so maybe we start with her. She's having a book signing, and then the murders happen, and then she goes, "I know what Dewey would want me to do. He'd want me to help these girls,"
Yeah.
and so that's what brings her into the fray. But as she does it as a reporter, to sort of like, hey, that's part of my job, but I'm
Right.
here to help you. I'm here. Dewey can't be here. I'm here for Dewey. That
Yeah.
would be great. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, no, and that's they flirted with that a little bit, I would say, in 5 when she shows up, like, she
Hmm.
has feelings for Judy. It's not super strong, but yeah, and, you know, and it looks bad for like, when Dewey sees that, it looks bad, right? Because it's like, you're here just as a reporter, but you know, it was maybe 90%, reporter, maybe 10% she did feel it, and that's good, and I think that's a step in the right direction. So, you know, of all the stuff, as long as they don't mess, like you said, I think the relationship is the most. Even if she reverts back to the same character, I feel like there's worse things the movie could do. You know what I mean? Like, it would be not great, but I think Gail is probably one of the more safe elements. Maybe it's because of Courtney. Maybe it's because they don't want to mess with that character too much because it's a female, or it's a legacy, or it's both. You know, I feel like
Hmm.
she's kind of safe. Kirby, I feel like, would very much be kind of safe, considering they seem like really big fans of her character. It's more of
Hmm.
it's more of repeating, if they just repeat too. Do you think there'd be like a Randy? Because there's rumors that they would do a Randy thing. So do you think they literally try to copycat a Randy death?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think the core four are certainly not all going to survive.
Yeah.
I think because we've touched on the politics a little bit, because Mindy is Mindy. I
Yeah.
think she's probably safe. uh,
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I I don't think I don't think they will get. But then with Kirby there, you've got kind of competing Randys, so
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. I don't know, and I honestly I hope they don't kill Kirby. I hope she at least lasts for one more movie, because it would just be kind of pitiful. I mean, unless you go, yeah. No, I mean, I guess that
I'm
anybody
pretty
could
on the
die, but
fence with her, but I'm pretty sure I've settled on I want her to live. Like, if she died at the very end and we had a whole, but here's the thing. Well, actually, I was just about to say, if we had a whole movie with her, but again, like, she's most likely on set for like 3 weeks. So she's probably in the
mm,
movie for 10, 15 minutes. Like, she's going to have a Sydney role in 6. That's not, and I guess that's what Dewey had, but also Dewey's been there and Kirby wasn't. I don't like, if she was in the whole movie as like an actual main character and you kill her at the end, I think that's different and fine, more than 7 minutes of screen time and then the final 20 minutes she's in it as like the death. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you got to
mm.
give her a bunch. And actually, it's kind of what they said that too. Like, they said they didn't want to bring Kirby back as a cameo. It was kind of all or nothing. So at least they've said it. You know?
Yeah, if they stick to it, that's different. But
Yeah.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
I definitely want her to be integral to the part. All these new people cast, kill them
You think
all.
they're
I
all
don't I
cannon
don't know them.
fodder? Like, they're all just
Oh
deaths?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, this is Randy said it. The sequel, the body count's always higher. So
Yeah.
Carnage Candy, man, they're
What?
gonna kill a lot of people, and I just hope they don't do throwaway deaths where just
Yeah.
one stab and goodbye. I want the deaths to be nice and
Well,
and juicy.
well, from a reversal kind of thing, would you prefer? So, like, they've never done, when they bring in new characters, they are always brought into murder. Like, obviously, like a Kirby and a Judy. Like, there's very few that make it. Would you be surprised in a good way if, say, they eliminated a Chad and maybe you do something like Nuts with Sam, where you could take her out and you almost replace them with some of the new people coming? So some of the new people coming in aren't actually canon, but they are going to be
Mm.
established characters going into 7. Would you like that better?
I
I
think it'd be
kind of would.
interesting.
I kind
Yeah,
of would.
I honestly, I'm Tara was really the only
Yeah,
standout for
I would
me.
not touch her. I would not
Yeah,
touch her.
no, I think honestly, if you killed Tara, I think you would I mean, you would gut that your entire trilogy. Nobody would give a shit anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
So no, she's untouchable, but I think everyone else is pretty much fair game. I think people like Mindy, so maybe she sticks around. So
yeah.
yeah, I think Chad and Sam could die. However, then you retroactively make part 5 pointless because you've done all this character development for Sam.
True,
And if you get rid of her, then you're like, well, then part 5 is a waste of my time because this character goes nowhere.
true.
So they probably won't touch Sam.
That's actually a pretty fair point. You could look at it as that is the subverting of expectations they keep talking about. And actually, I would kind of respect that, where it's like, you know what? Yeah, you could look at it like that, but at the same time, it's like, you did something very bold in keeping a character around. You think she's going to be the main thing, but you're kind of like having an apprentice in Terra, and then you kill off the one you didn't think was touchable. Like, I feel like that's kind of cool. I would I'm not like rooting for it because I feel I feel like you can do more with Sam. I feel like she was fine in 5. I was never too hot on her or low, but
Mhm.
I feel like you can do more if killing her is that more. Here's the thing, though. Some people are talking about Samara and all that stuff. The thing that unfortunately comes with all these set pictures is like Sam is 100% the main character. So people that say
Mm.
like, oh, Sam could be killed early and replaced by others. Melissa Barrera has been there the whole time. Instagram posts, she's with Tara in like any set image. Like she's in it till the end. She could die at the end. I also don't think she'd be Ghostface at this point. So it's either she dies at the end or she at the very least makes it to the end, which is unfortunate that we know that just the modern age. There's nothing we can really do about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I remember when Scream 2 was coming out, the first one anyway, and you know, the internet was sort of in its infancy, and uh, I would scour the internet for news, but there was like, oh, they're shooting at, you know, Windsor College or whatever, or whatever in Georgia, wherever it was, and so there would be pictures of the set, but there was there was not a way for all of us to dig in deep and get a lot of spoilers and things like that. Everything was kind of kept hush hush. I know the script leaked at one point, so they had to rechange the
Yeah.
ending. Uh, so there was stuff like that, but I was like, well, where's that script? I want to get my hands on that script, but I couldn't find a way to do it on the internet. I mean, it was very clunky and cumbersome. Nowadays, absolutely, you just Google, you know, Scream leaks, and you'll be able to find a whole bunch of crap. So
Yeah.
it's a different era, and it's kind of, honestly, it's up to the fans to see how much you want to know beforehand,
Yeah.
which is tough for, you know, people like us who cover the news, because we
Yeah.
might inadvertently spoil ourselves to something. We're like, damn it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know,
It's part of the game, and and I respect people that don't want to see it. I had
mm,
people that even on my channel said like, I like you, but like I'm done. I'm not gonna like the next 9 months. I'm going into hibernation, and I'll see you when the movie comes out. There's definitely those people, and I envy them in a way because yeah, I mean, I spoil everything for myself. Like it's I accidentally do it. I've known some of the biggest games that I love. I've known it by accident because I put myself in the line of fire for others. Um,
mm,
that's it's the way it is. That one, that one, and those kind of things happen. And when you hear some of the actors even like talking in interviews, it's like, I don't know if people realize it. Inadvertently, you're confirming this, like that Dermot I talked about with Craven. In his interview, talking about how funny, bloody it is. That means he's in it a lot, right? Because if he's in
mm,
it for 5 minutes, he can't describe the tone of the whole movie. So he's a
right,
main character, and that's fine. It leaked. He accidentally
right.
said it. That's the way it is. There's nothing, that's it.
And then there's the reverse of that, where we're seeing with Halloween Ends, where cast and crew are coming out and saying fans are going to be upset.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's weird. It's a strange movie. It
yeah,
doesn't go the way you think. I mean, that just, again, I keep harping on Last Jedi, but that movie is such a touchstone for me in fandom
yeah.
of like how not to do it. You know, that Mark Hamill from the beginning was saying, you know, hey, you know, he was warning us without coming
He
out and
was.
saying, guys, they destroy the franchise.
Yeah,
um you know, and we've seen it, the repercussions are still felt. So
yeah.
who knows? I mean, what did you think of Halloween Ends, the trailer
I
anyway?
but I'm not I'm not diehard, so I thought the trailer was fine. I actually liked it, but it's because but I hated kills, and I liked like a 7 out of 10. 2018. That's my
Mm.
and I've watched the first one. Um, Resurrection, is that a Halloween movie? What's
Oh,
the one where
really?
he's in outer space? Or is that a
Oh,
different
no,
No, that's
that's Jason.
different franchise. There you go. I just gave myself in. Yeah, I've only watched like a couple. I really did not like Kills. I thought it was one of the stupidest movies I've ever seen from like writing. Evil Dies Tonight. I'll never
Oh, yeah,
forget that. Evil Dies every night.
yeah.
Yeah, but I have paid it. I haven't made videos, but I've paid attention to the stuff online of like, oh, this is a weird. Yeah, like you said, like people aren't gonna like it. It's like I don't think there's anything worse I'd like to hear. And this is again, I mean, I'm so outside of Halloween. I could be getting things wrong, but I wouldn't want Scream. I wouldn't want Pirates 6 with Johnny Depp to come out and then they're mourning. This isn't a Pirates movie for everybody. I'd say, are you out of your like? I'd flip. I'd break a table or something. So
Yeah.
yeah. What worries me about that is the whole modern era. Remember the thing when Halloween Kills came out? It was going to be the time skip, and I hated that idea. It was going to be taking place. Well, even though that like the trailer doesn't show it, they did say in the interviews it would take place during the thing going around the world the last 2 years.
Hmm.
I didn't see masks. Leaving it there. But yeah, I'll see it out of like enjoyment to see how the franchise ends. But I don't have like what's the word? An arm in the game, a leg in the game.
Right,
I don't
skin in the
have
game.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I do. I've loved the franchise since I was a kid. But it's gone through so many iterations that I feel this is just another iteration, and then in
Yeah.
5 years we'll have another one that says,
Yeah.
"Oh, this one is the real sequel to part one."
Yeah.
So it just feels like I'm just a little burnt out. I love Michael Myers, but it's a little at
Yeah.
this point. Halloween ends. No, it doesn't. It's there's no way
It
it'll
ends for
come
like
back.
it'll end for like 6 to 8 years, but you only
Right.
have so long with Jamie Lee Curtis, and even and Burnout with having movies so frequently with Michael Myers. I like his mask when he's holding her in the kitchen scene in the trailer. How it's like
Hmm.
all like eroded. I like that. That looks cool.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how to.
And I'll tell you what, this is you have to look at cinema history to see how things are going to develop. This is the future of Scream, 100%. If six is awful and it tanks, there
Yeah.
will not be a seven. Or if there's a seven, then seven will be kind of a Scream three where like not very many people like it, and
Yeah.
just people like that. Yeah, I think I like it, and then like maybe like three people who say it's their favorite.
Yeah.
But then it'll die. Then in 20 years, somebody will come along and do Scream, whatever,
Yeah.
2030. Nev will come back, and
Yeah.
it'll be a direct sequel to part one. And you know, and it, you know,
And
it,
and that's what
it'll
I
happen.
respect. From not being like I don't watch horror. Like Scream. I've watched like here and there Halloween mixed with whatever I think other franchises. I've watched Happy Death Day. I really like Happy Death Day.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it, but it's because it's very Scream like. So maybe that's what. So
Yeah.
yeah, again, like not being part of it, I respect that so much about Scream that up until this point, even with what we've had with 5 and even the talks of 6, like it is, I would say, one of the most pristine. Like it hasn't really been affected all that much by I mean, like how many horror movies can go this long without having an amazingly bad one, or you do need to do like a reboot. Like they've gotten close, but they've never done that. Like and maybe one day they will. They'll do a direct sequel, like you said, to Scream 1. But it's like they've so far they've skirted around it. Where I really respect the quality has always been at least high enough where you've never had that garb because that's because horror is its own kind of unique thing, and some people like that about horror, and I don't think I would. Like if you had that kind of stuff, it's just not what I'm into. Kind of like retroactively fixing things and
Hmm.
skipping movies. It's like I could never with Star Wars. I mean, that's a whole thing. Like with lore, like I care about that. So I would never be into it, and that's why I think I like Scream so much. Is it's not Halloween, it's not Friday the 13th. These movies have had horrible or franchises have had horrible films. Scream really is
Hmm.
not like 3 isn't that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, hey, let's look at history of the franchises.
Yeah,
The first four Chucky movies are great, and
yeah,
they're all continuous storylines. Then you get to part five, and it goes off the rails. You could say the first four Halloween movies are great, even though the third one is a sort of an offshoot. But it's grown in appreciation. Then
yeah,
you get to part five, and that's when the fandom starts to fracture. Same with Friday the 13th. The first four are great, and they are a continuation. They're a
yeah,
full story. He dies in part four. Then part five is this other crazy thing, and then they bring him back in six. So Scream has hit that threshold.
yeah,
Four good movies, and then five is like what's happening here? And then it's all fair game. So
yeah,
unfortunately, I think it's just following the trend of the horror franchises. It's only taken so much longer
yeah,
than the other ones. And I think maybe if Scream had come out in the 80s or at the end of the 80s, then you would have seen
yeah,
much more sequelitis than
yeah.
we've gotten with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly, and I again, I hope it doesn't happen. But you're at 5 is as close to those things as you'll get, right? Because it very much like it doesn't ignore past, but it doesn't acknowledge. It doesn't
Mm.
acknowledge any of those in between. It very much is for people that want to skip from one and then skip the rest and then start there. So yeah, I hope for the best. I mean, I'm always looking for the best for the franchise. If it starts to fall apart, I mean that's it's sad. It really is because it's the only horror franchise I care about, to be honest with you.
And that's, I mean, well, look what's happening. We're already sort of going down the Halloween route with the titles. If they
Yeah.
had called it Scream 6 or 5, then it would have felt like, well, this is part of the franchise.
Right.
But they've just made the decision to put themselves outside of the first timeline.
Yeah.
Now we're connected tangentially, but now we are our own thing. And
Yeah.
if they really go and call the new one 2,
Yeah.
then you're absolutely outside of the original
Yeah.
timeline,
I'm not
and
a
that's
I'm not a
just
fan. I'm not a
no.
fan of. I think the 2 exclamation points is the cleverest way of saying 2 by a mile. You know, if you did 2 Roman numeral 2 or this, the power that, you know, that expression gives is easily the coolest, but I still would prefer either a subtitle or a 6. I would not prefer, because it's still 2. You're still saying 2. You're just making it very clever. It's very. I will give them it. It's very clever. I would not have done it, and I would actually have never thought of it. So I'll give them that. But it's still a fun way of still saying the same thing. It's still Scream 2.
But then how do you talk about it? Like, oh, did you
And
guys see
how do you talk about
Scream
3? How do you talk
2?
about 3 is the issue. Do you do 3, or does 3 have the subtitle? And then it's like, well, why is 3 the only one that has a subtitle?
Right.
That's the
Or
big issue with.
3 exclamation points.
How does YouTube know? How do you and me know when we're talking about Scream? Oh, it's like, well, you didn't emphasize. Do you mean Scream or Scream, which is 2? You have to
Right.
really, you have to have that punch. And then how do you
Right.
say 3? Do you have to like,
You
you have really have,
scream.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to up your octave or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Uh, no, I agree that it should have been a subtitled, or it should have been screams, and like the S turns into a 2 subtly or something like that.
Yeah, I would
That,
take that.
I absolutely should have done that, or like scream harder, going like off of a Die Hard kind of thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely should have done that. I think numbering it, you're complicating things, and then when you complicate things, again, you're going into Halloween territory. Like, well, which is this one? What part is this one?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's that. People get confused with that crap, and
yeah.
then you just everyone's gonna call it Scream 6 anyway.
That's yeah. That would be my finishing. That'll be the finishing point of this video. People still call Scream 2022, and it's like all uppercase. You know, all the letters. It's still Scream 5. You know, it's the easiest way of just talking about it with friends and community. Scream 5, Scream 6. You know, they're kidding themselves. No matter what they do. Again, maybe not necessarily their fault. No matter what they call it, it's going to be Scream 6 to 85% of people. You know, and then if they want to spice it up, I will give them credit. They're spicing it up as much as they can. Yeah, but at the same, it should, but they can't do 6 is also the issue, right? Because you didn't do 5, so it's not 6 because then you know, and they could probably make that argument. So I get it, but at the same time, yeah, and you couple that with if you're copying 2 and the name is 2, are you trying to erase the I was gonna say prequels like for
Mm,
Star? Are you trying to erase these? What's the motive? And I don't
mm,
think they're honestly trying to, but they're doing it almost inadvertently by some of the stuff.
mm-hmm.
I feel like their heart's in the right place. I feel like these are fans that are trying. And I don't know what gets changed because of executives or whatever. But I feel like some of these things are just mistakes, just like honest to God mistakes that they've done. And maybe some of it was planned, but I think most of it is kind of inadvertent.
Yeah. I mean, I know meetings after meetings after meetings happen over the titles.
Yeah.
I'm sure they went with the trendy thing, but
Yeah.
in my mind, you have to go with the longevity thing. I am always thinking in the future. In the
Yeah.
future, people go, oh, let's go rent Scream. Which one? No one's gonna remember. It came out in 2022. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they're gonna say, oh, the one with the sisters. What's that sisters one?
Yeah.
And it's like, even Friday the 13th, there's like a mini trilogy in there where they just name it after the characters. So it's unfortunate, and I kind of wish that they had just called it 5, but that ship has sailed, and we just had to deal
Yeah.
with what we got. The movies are entertaining, then fine, but to me, they will always be outside of the Craven timeline.
Yeah, very, very fair. And again, to remind everybody, these are just our opinions. And I like having, I mean, these are very different, and I think they're very valid to discuss kind of the flip side, of what most people are talking about. So let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure to subscribe to Mastercast TV. His link will be in the description. Just click the @ symbol. Thank you again, man, for being here. We had a lot of fun the first time. Second, we have to make it a trilogy though. We only
Yes,
had two,
let's continue it.
yeah, we'll have to have you back. And that's pretty much it. Any final thoughts or anything?
No, all I'll say is, it's a wonder to me why it's so hard for new people to keep the consistency of a franchise going. It seems like it's difficult for new people to come in and just keep the reality of it. Keep the lore, keep the mythology of it, and franchises that keep going will almost inevitably always fall apart, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I just hope they remember to I just hope they remember to deliver a Scream movie that doesn't necessarily have to, fall in line with any kind of particular politic, but is in keeping with the franchise itself and with the spirit of the franchise and the characters. Do not, please, don't tell me you're going to subvert expectations and then end up shooting everyone in the foot, including yourselves, because it hurts everybody. Just
Yeah.
just give us a fun movie, and don't put your foot in your mouth too much by trying to be clever,
Yeah.
a la Ryan Johnson. And I'll leave it there.
I very much agree, and that's a great place to end it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Mastercast for being here, and we'll see you all on the next one.